I think that you give him a year at second base, he could put up. Now, he's not playing in New York per se, but
he's playing in San Francisco.
He could put up the kind of numbers that DJ LeMahieu did. When DJ LeMahieu and Tommy La Stella were both on the Cubs, La Stella was the better player.
Interesting.
Anyway, but very similar is Jeff McNeil.
I like McNeil.
I have him next. Then I have the two guys that I think are still on bases, Colton Wong and Dylan Moore.
Okay.
Then the two home run hitters, Mike Moustakas and Matt Muncy, and that rounds that out based on. And I think that you can move guys along there based on what you need. Whereas, like, if you need batting average, you're going to go with McNeil, Estella. If you need stolen bases, you're going to go Moore and Wong. If you need home runs, you're going to go Moustakas or Muncy.
Yeah, second baseman is an interesting position. I think the guy that's the most interesting out of all the guys that you've listed so far to me is probably Brandon Lowe, just because there's a lot of question marks about what they go into a new ballpark. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how the team uses him. He was used in interesting ways in freaking Tampa. So
he's the only guy in there where you look at his batting profile and think there could be improvement.
I like Brandon Lowe. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's not about. He's just a guy that's the biggest question mark to me.
I think somebody in your 15-team league is going to love him enough that you're not going to wind up drafting him.
Sure. I don't think that I to be honest with you, I can't see me drafting a lot of the guys. The one guy I might, like I said, I'm going to really be kind of aggressive this year on LeMahieu. And after that, dude, I could be dropped all the way down to like pick 140 before I could see myself picking a second baseman.
Some of these names I give you, like Dylan Moore is going to 112.
Yeah.
Thomas is going in the 300s.
Yeah.
Villar is going in the 150s, 140s. These guys, Mike Moustakas 122. The next guy in here is the guy that I think I think he really kind of fits with Moustakas and Muncy, but he doesn't really have the track record. And even though I think he can hit for a better average than Muncy, I can't guarantee it. And so I've said this before, I like Ty France. He's my number 18.
Interesting. Where is he at this year?
He's going to play DH for the Seattle Mariners.
I thought it was the Mariners. I just didn't want to say it and be wrong.
He's going to play all the time. He's going to bat fifth, maybe sixth, be part of that lineup. The middle of their lineup's not bad, and he has a lot of power. He was one of those tweener guys for the Padres. He was back and forth between the bigs and AAA, but man, he had some pop. And the thing about it is, like, a couple years ago, San Diego made this weird trade, and they went to Arizona and said, the guy we really want is Mitch Haniger, and Mitch Haniger turned out to be a pretty good player. And when Seattle was making that trade with San Diego, they said the guy we really want is Ty France. And I'm giving them some credit for being able to pick the right guy.
Jerry Pardo, huh?
The power is there. There's no reason why Ty France couldn't give you Max Muncy's numbers, and you could draft him literally 10 rounds later.
Interesting. That's a really good sleeper pick.
Jake Cronenworth at 19. I didn't know where to really place him.
We both have him about the same spot. Yeah.
And then I put Nick Madrigal at number 20. People are really down on his home run. Somebody had his home run total. Is over under and his home run total is 3.5. It's like he's going to hit more than 3.5 home runs, but it's not going to be much more than that.
Yeah.
But he's a stolen base guy. And then the other guy who gets moved into this, because I have to put one more in there because I don't have a number 8. My number 21 guy, who's now my number 20, is Ryan McMahon.
Okay.
Because of he's gonna play all the time because of the Arenado motion. But there's lots of guys in here that are still in the same. Like, if you drafted John Birdie for steals, I wouldn't knock you. He was the next guy listed. Gene Segura, I believe, until last year, he was like sort of like the most stable, consistent middle.
Can I ask you a question about a guy that's not on your list? I'm kind of curious what happened to him this year, or what happened to his ADP based on what it was last year. Is Gavin Lux? Like, why are people off of him?
I have this in here like at the very bottom. I said there's a couple guys you gotta kind of sort of know, and there's the 5 rookies, right, or people that are damn close to rookies that are gonna. Sure. And Gavin Lux is in that bunch. And the problem with Gavin Lux, I think, is the Dodgers are a World Series team, and Gavin Lux didn't do enough to get that starting spot. Now, don't get me wrong. There's not a person in management in Los Angeles that doesn't want him to beat out Chris Taylor for second base. But 2 things could happen, right? Chris Taylor could play well enough that you're not going to stop it, or number 2 is is that Gavin Lux could, in the little amount that he plays, not be that effective, in which case they're going to stay with Chris Taylor. The number one guy on that list is really Brendan Rodgers, who is immensely talented.
Yes.
Very similar to Lux.
He was like the number one overall pick in the draft a couple years ago, wasn't he?
He was supposed to be better than Trevor Story.
Yeah.
I put McMahon there because McMahon has actually shown that he can produce something. McMahon could give you, he could give you theoretically with full-time work, Max Muncy type home run numbers with a better batting average. But Brendan Rodgers, every chance that he's gone to play, he's played just okay. And for that reason, he hasn't been able to push these other guys out of the way. And that's the real question. If the Rockies, right now, it looks like Brendan Rodgers is going to be Brendan Rodgers is going to be the starting third baseman. Ryan McMahon's going to be starting second baseman, and there's really not a lot of push for anyone else to play there. And there's going to be some goodness there. That's the difference between the Rockies and the Dodgers. Is the difference between Lux and Rodgers is that the Dodgers are playing for the World Series, and the Rockies are playing for the future. And so Rodgers will come up before he does for that same reason. The other names in here are those guys that are rookies or very near rookies are like Nico Horner of the Cubs, Ha-Seong Kim of the Padres, Andres Jimenez of Cleveland Indians will get a chance. He's probably, if I were to rank the ones, I think that Brendan Rodgers and Jimenez will probably do the most for you, because they're going to get the most playing time, not because they're necessarily better. The other thing that's interesting about that is at the very bottom of this list is you have like Donovan Solano, who's going to hit you 321.
He had a great year last year.
And you have Cesar Hernandez, who's going to give you that.
Excuse me.
Give you that Didi Gregorius all around numbers.
Another guy I like at second, and you may say I'm crazy, but I like Scott Kingery, and I've always have kind of liked him just enough. You know what I mean? Like he's one of those guys. He'll get hot once in a while. I don't know. I'm waiting for him to kind of have that season. You know what I mean?
Because when you're doing a list, you're kind of playing around with it a little bit, and so there are guys that are like low on your list, and guys higher on the list, and even when you stop at 20. You probably at some point had more than 20 guys because you're moving guys around.
Yes.
And so Scott Kingery was the absolute last guy that I didn't jettison.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like he's still there. Like there might be something there, but with the Gregorius re-signing and with Segura at second base, and Alex Blum coming up in third and Hoskins there, I don't know.
He could get some time in the outfield.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where he gets significant time, but he did. 2 years ago, he hit like 19 home runs and sold.
He did. Yeah, he was a fantasy relevant player in 20. Let me go pop his season up. Yeah, 2019 he had 19 homers, 55 RBIs, and 15 stolen bases. He only had 258, but that's serviceable, man.
Yeah,
and especially where you're getting him in drafts. So Kingery's a guy I'm going to keep my eye on, especially in a league like the Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational. Something where you need some deep picks.
I mentioned everyone else in here except for I still like Wilmer Flores. I wonder if he plays, and Nick Solak I still like too, but you up there.
I mean, is the jury out on Jonathan Scope as well? Like, is he officially washed up? Like, is he? Because
Scope got signed by the Tigers.
I'm just saying, he's 2019 he had 23 and 59. That's pretty decent season. Last year he had 8 and 23 and 278. I mean, that's I don't think anyone even realizes he had the year he had last year.
Jonathan Scope is he should be on your radar because he's one of those guys that really should not be drafted, but he is an injury. He is an injury fill-in because what you're going to get from him is at best is that you're going to get 254, 23, 60 RBIs. And that's not enough unless you're in like a 30-team league or whatever, even a 15-team league. It's like there are in a 15-team league. I actually have him on my thing. I felt I had to put him in a spot. So I have him at number 30 behind Andres Jimenez. Would you rather have Scope or Jimenez?
Probably Jimenez.
Yeah, because there's a chance there's something more there.
Yeah.
Would you rather? Do you think Scope is actually better than Cesar Hernandez?
Cesar Hernandez is one of those. He's a floor guy for me. I know what I can expect. He's going to almost hit me 300 every year. He's going to steal me a couple bases. He's going to hit a couple homers. You know what I mean?
He's going to hit 16 home runs.
Yes.
13 bases.
Yes.
I guess if you really needed, if the recipe called for home runs, you would take Scoop over Cesar Hernandez. Would you take him over? Here's guys that would you take him over Donovan Solano?
No.
I
don't know. It just depends on what you need because it depends on if you need power or if you need average.
Yeah, you need average. Would you take him over Tommy Edman? No. Would you take him over Max Muncy? Mike Moustakas?
No, absolutely not.
Take Cronenworth. There's all these guys.
I might take him over France or Cronenworth. It just depends.
France Cronenworth there, but that's you're talking about that at the 20 turn on my list. It's if you're in a 15-team league. I mean, I think you're making a mistake if your middle infielder is a second baseman.
Gotcha.
You know, like who's your number 20 shortstop? 19 to 20 shortstop again.
Go back to my list real quick. My 20 shortstop was Paul DeYoung, and then Jorge Polanco was 19.
Either of those. Come on, would you take? Would you want to start Jonathan Scope over either of those guys?
No, absolutely not. And shortstop's so much deeper. Yeah.
So for that reason, you're really only going 15 deep at second base.
Yep,
is basically what my point is. So once you get to that point, everybody after here is either going to be like Nick Madrigal, a guy that can really hit as a rookie, who we hope might be much better than he is, or you could throw in there Brendan Rodgers over, or he's going to be some guy that like a John Birdie who'll steal you some bases, or a Donovan Solano who will give you a nice resting average to prop up some other people. You know, I don't know what you get out of Scope that is that cool.
You know, one guy we neglected to talk about, even though we talked about the trade for a minute, was Elvis Andrus. I believe he is grossly undervalued right now.
Yeah, look at your list real quick. He's going to be a shortstop.
I'd probably put him about 25 if I was to give you that rank out that further.
But he falls in that same category with, I think that like.
I look at him like I look at like Ahmed Rosario, or if I look at, like you say, Dubon.
Well, no, why? What are you drafting Elvis Andrus for?
Stolen bases.
Stolen bases.
I think he's in a run.
Well, no, would you take him over John Birdie?
Yes, because think about it like this. I think that Elvis gets 550 at bats in Oakland this year, and I think there's a chance he steals 30, 35 bases with his eyes closed.
When was the last time he sold 30 bases?
2 years ago. Sold 31. Really? Yeah, he did freaking.
I thought he was in the 20 range. But
no, 2 years ago he was 12 and 31. Yep, 2019 he was 12 and 31.
He actually traded for him that year.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's been consistent for stolen bases his whole career. He's going to be a decent player. Like I said, as long as he gets the at bats, I think he's running all day.
If they let him run.
He got 600 at bats in 2019, took 31 bases. I think there's a pretty good. I would put the odds around 95% that he steals at least 25.
Where do you have an ADP on Andrus?
It's like 400, 450, 455. So I mean that's value all day as far as I'm concerned.
I'm going to recalculate and say that Birdie and Andrus are in the same category, but I would take Andrus first.
Okay.
Yeah, you win.
Okay.
So that's
well, good shot.
That's it. Everyone else was sort of named.
Yeah, I think we did pretty good, man. I think we accomplished a lot tonight. We talked about a good amount of people.
Not bad.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy, and I do got to get going though, because I told my wife I was going to leave at 8, so I'll call him like show in a little longer, but it's no big deal. So
we'll come back next. With we're do outfielders and pitchers, and that's going to take a long while.
Perfect.
It's going to be different because I think that to get through a lot of them, we're going to go to NFBC ADP for the last 30 days, or whatever makes sense, and I'll go through the outfielders next week.
Okay, and I'll do pitching.
But you should pick 6 to 10 outfielders that you want to talk about.
Perfect.
With some spacing based on.
Perfect.
Based on that,
we don't want to talk about just the first round. I get it. Yeah,
but I'd like you to like decide on those guys and send it to me, so I don't have to go through those guys in any depth. I'll rely on you that, and you'll do the same for me when we do pitcher. I'll pick six or 10 guys. You know,
that sounds great to me, man.
But you need to send me the guys you want.
Perfect. Okay. All right, cool. All right, well, I look forward to next week. Then it should be fun.
Yep, and hopefully I'll get that thing figured out, and we'll get on YouTube.
Beautiful. Yeah, I would love to be able to post links for my Twitter followers and my Facebook followers and all that good stuff. So,
but on Facebook, it's on Facebook. You can post that one.
Is it? All right, man. I got to pay attention.
We're broadcasting right now on the Lenny Melnick site.
Yeah, I know. It popped up live on my phone. There was nothing I could do about it because I was locked into this thing. So, all right, beautiful. All right, well, I got to cruise. Until next week, guys.
Everyone, good night.